Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? I'm reading some of the messages here. Yes, Lysandra. I'm so with you with that one. Um, Definitely want to go to my bed early as well. Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. So one of the reasons why I started at this time is because I am pretty much new. And hello everybody, by the way, welcome to my channel and welcome to my first YouTube live. You guys are making history tonight with me. So, because it was my first live, I was testing it out last night, and YouTube gave me 24 hours before I could actually do a live. So yesterday when I was testing it out after 8, then they were counting me down for 24 hours before I could do a live, which is why I wasn't able to do it before 8:30. um but I kept checking, um and then I realized they actually freed me up before 8. So I said, all right, let me just see if I could do it for 8. So here we are. So um yeah, sleep is almost talking to me right now because usually it would be my bedtime, but let's get into it because everybody is ready to go. And by the way, guys, I saw some persons commenting in the chat, not in the chat, commenting on some of the questions about number 7, but there is actually no number 7. It only, the paper only has 6 questions. So tomorrow, and somebody said tomorrow morning, just check your timetables just to make sure that it's the afternoon that you are scheduled for and not in the morning. So I don't want you guys leaving out too early to go sit the exam, um and not and miss it, and it's actually in the afternoon. Okay, so I'm going to get started with question number 5, Joelyn, which is the one I didn't get to upload. If you guys have the question paper, I'm going to go through that right now. So it says, identify 2 principles of design that are used in fashion sketching other than emphasis. So we have rhythm, proportion, you have balance, and harmony. Is there any other principle? You don't have the question? Okay. All right. Is there any other principle that you guys know other than rhythm, proportion, balance, and harmony and emphasis? Because the question had said other than emphasis. Trying to see it in the book. 63. I'm using this book as well. CJ says balance, unity. So I'm just double checking, guys. I don't know every single answer, so I have to double check in the book. You know, the elements and the principles of design are kind of one of the same. You kind of get them mixed up. So you have rhythm for principles, proportion, balance. Somebody said unity, harmony, and emphasis. So those are the principles of design. So the elements of design would be color, shape. Yes, line would not be a principle. Line is an element. So line, shape, color, texture, form, those are all elements, right? Right. So color, shape, line, texture. Right. Um okay, so some persons are saying they keep mixing up the elements and the principles. Now, an easy way to try to remember some of them is that you can come up with like a, just like a acronym, um like how you'd have POISE in the management principles, so planning, organizing, implementing, controlling, and evaluating. We could use something like that to try to figure out the elements. So color, line, shape, and texture. Um, so color, line, shape, and texture. Does that work? No. Um, and the elements, rhythm, proportion, balance, it doesn't even form a proper word. Word. But let's look at what the different elements are so that we can probably understand. So color is just basically the hues. So it could be warm or cool colors that are used in a design. Lines can be vertical, sorry, horizontal, structural lines, and lines used in design. They can be structural, meaning that they are formed as the pieces are put together. So, for example, a dart is formed while you are sewing, and a seam is formed while you are sewing. So, those are structural lines. So, if you are making like a princess dart or a princess seam, the ones that come from here and come down, that is a structural vertical line based on the direction in which it's going. Or you have an empire line which cuts across under the bust. That is also a structural line because it is created in the garment while it is being made, as opposed to like a decorative line. For example, if you add a trimming onto the sleeve of the blouse, that would be a decorative line. Or if the line actually is a part of the design, like vertical, horizontal, curve, wavy, whatever, then those are decorative lines. So Joylyn says, just to clarify, the old papers up to 2019 have 7 questions, and you had to do all. So the 21. Six. Okay, so I have the 2017 and 2018. So let me just double check. So so the 2017 says this paper consists of 6 questions and you answer all. 2018 says this paper has 6 questions, and 2021 is 6 questions as well. And I do know that usually when I am helping my grade 11 students to prepare for the internal or external exams, then I normally give them 6 questions because we try to um, emulate the CSEC, um, what do you call it, the CSEC layout. So it's usually 6 questions that we give them. We need to know the terms involved with color. What you mean the terms involved with color? Okay, so like hue is basically the name of the color. So like red, blue, green, those are the names of the color, right? Those are called hues. Value is the lightness and darkness of a color, and intensity is the brightness or dullness of a color. Now, a tint is when you add white to a color. So, red and white will make pink. So, pink is a tint of red. Blue and white would make light blue or baby blue. So, that would be a tint of blue. So any color that you add white to is referred to as a tint. So for black, when you add white to black, you get gray. So gray therefore becomes the tint. For shade is when you add black to the color. So, and it's just a teensy bit of black. It's not like a whole lot of black to overpower the hue. It's just a teensy bit. So if you add black to red, you would get maroon. Um yeah. I'm trying to think of any other colors. Probably um like a maroon is kind of like burgundy. CXC gave us a study guide. For CJ, the only guide I saw that was sent out was just the topics. But I don't know. We won't be able to go through like every single topic. But let me go back to question number 5. So we say identify 2 principles. Rhythm, proportion, balance, and harmony. The next question says figure 2 shows a diagram of a front body sloper, and I'll just share that with you guys here. Right? So it says outline the function of 2 tools that were used to draft the front body sloper in the figure other than a pencil and a paper. Yes, Dexter, navy blue, excellent, is definitely a shade. So once you add black to that, is definitely a shade. Thank you for that. Okay, so what other tools could we use other than pencil and paper to draft the front bodies? So I want you guys to think about when you were drafting the pattern to make the off the shoulder top. It's the same principle, right? So you would have had to draft the, okay, so Norvia says French curve, yes. Dexter says Taylor's chalk, but Dexter, you are drafting the pattern, not transferring it to the fabric. So we would use the Taylor's chalk when you're transferring it on the fabric, not when you're drafting. So Taylor's chalk would not be an ideal one. Meter ruler, yes, the meter stick, the tracing wheel, and the carbon paper. Lysandra, for tracing, you see, because it said drafting, I want us to stick to the tools that we use for drafting and not transferring the markings onto fabric. So I would stay away from the tracing wheel and the carbon paper because you use both of them together. So I would stay away from the tracing wheel because you use it to transfer the markings onto the fabric. And the question said to draft the front bodies. So ruler, Joalyn, the question said other than pencil and paper, so we wouldn't use that. Yes, Britty, paper, scissors, French curve, markers, tape measure, short ruler, meter ruler, L square. So I have L square, and you need to ensure as well that you know what these tools are used for. So because it asks you to outline the function, right? So you have to say what the function is. So for L square, you use the L square to ensure accurate straight lines. You can use the meter stick to draw long lines. You can use the short ruler to draw short lines, like darts, buttonholes, the grain lines. The variform curve, and I think someone had mentioned that. So we use that one to make curve lines along the neckline and the armhole. The tape measure we can also use. Yes, the French curve to get smooth curves. Excellent, to get smooth curves. And you can be specific in where you have the smooth curves. So the smooth curves along the neckline, because remember you need to use the neckline, as well as the armhole, right? So definitely those answers are correct. The next question says, in the space provided below, sketch the front view of an outfit for a casual event that is suitable for a short, slim figure. Now, I didn't get to draw this one, but what do you think are some of the styles that we could use for a short, slim figure? some of the styles for casual, because remember it said casual. Anybody? Nobody has any styles? Um, V-neck, vertical lines, A-line bodice, elongated dress. All right, so vertical lines, yes, so those go that way. Mm-hmm. A-line, short, slim, yes. Okay, and it's a casual event, so we may want to do probably like maybe jeans, like a pants or a skirt. Try to stay away from like a ball dress or cocktail dress type of vibe. Maybe like a t-shirt, a dressy top, something like that. But definitely towards a casual look, because the question did say a casual event. All right. Next part of the question, it says suggest two appropriate textures that could be used to create an illusion that would enhance the figure type that we just spoke about, the short and slim, and give one reason for each choice of texture. Nicole says horizontal lines, vertical lines. Is it horizontal or vertical? Horizontal goes this way along the horizon, so it brings the eye across. So yes, we could say horizontal instead of the vertical, because the vertical would make her appear a little bit slimmer. But let us say she had thick vertical lines. So if you drew the design with thick vertical lines, and that's why it's so important how you use the lines, the thick vertical lines would give you an illusion that she is a little bit bigger than she appears to be. Um, Horizontal lines can work as well because they take the eye across to make her appear wider. But if she's short, then it depends on if she wants to look tall or give the illusion that she wants to look tall. Right, that Nicole, yes. Um, so vertical because she's short, yes, definitely. So you want to give her a wider appearance, and horizontal because she is slim. Very good. So the horizontal lines would give her the illusion of width or weight, and the vertical lines going up and down would give her the illusion that she is tall. That's why I said for a slim person, then the thick vertical lines would achieve both of that, both giving weight as opposed to if she was using like thin lines, then it would make her a little bit slimmer. So thicker lines would definitely aid in that. But we don't want to overpower, but it says texture. So appropriate texture. So some words that we use for texture are dull, shiny, smooth. Those are some words. Checkered lines. Um, it depends on where on the garment, Dexter, you would use the checkered lines. Maybe if you said diagonal, then the diagonal could work, which would be a mixture of both the vertical and the horizontal. So diagonal lines could definitely work. Um, can you please give me a recap of the questions that you're talking about? Okay, Vanya, I'm doing May 2021, question number 5. I am at question C, part 2. And I'm going to save the live and add it to the channel just in case you want to go back over it. Right. So you have to give a reason for your choice of texture. So what textures tend to make you put on weight, right? Shiny textures tend to enlarge the body. So if it is that you're doing like a shiny top or a shiny skirt, then you say why you chose that texture or why you chose something smooth or something rough. Crispy, yes. Dexter, sorry. Crispy, fuzzy, yes. Those are all words to describe the texture, but you have to say why you used that. Okay? Suggest a color that would be appropriate for the figure type in C and give one reason for your choice. Now, dark colors tend to make a figure look smaller, and bright colors tend to enlarge the figure. So, wherever it is on the diagram that you are drawing, then you would need to ensure that you point that out. And if you looked at my last video that I just uploaded, about the tips when it asks for sketch and you have to have a labeled diagram, then you would need to say where on the diagram you're putting what. So what colors, that's if you're not using like a pentacrayon. Yes, so bright colors, Dexter, navy blue, Joalane, tend to bring up the body. So depending on where you use them on the garment, and at the same time, you don't want it to look too overpowering or too crowded or anything like that. So you want to be kind of specific in how you position that drawing. But really, the drawings are your own. You just have to make sure that it is visible to the examiner, because I know that sometimes when I'm marking my students work, sometimes they draw some things that are just really far out, like the outfit is just not appropriate. So because the outfit is not appropriate for the question, then it throws off the rest of the answers. So you want to try to stick to an outfit that matches the question that is being asked. We have to color the outfit in the exam. Well, if you bring pentacrayons with you and you want to color them, then I guess so. But yes, you definitely can label them. But wherever you label it, you would have to say you're using this particular color. So a navy blue pants, a white top, something like that. But if you have pentacrayons, I don't think you're going to get marked down for not using crayons or for using crayons. So if you have them and you want to work with them, then you can do that. Okay. All right. So that's it for question number 5. I think I had uploaded the other 5 questions, questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 on my channel. So I'm just going to go to another paper that I have. And if you have any questions in between, then you can always let me know. Okay, so I'm going to be doing 2018 question number 1. And it says, name and describe the 2 main sources of textile fibers. What are the 2 main sources of textile fibers? So first we're naming them and then we're going to describe them. So what are the 2 main sources? And the sources are where they come from. So where do textile fibers come from? Anybody? Natural and man-made. I've never, Cleon, to answer your question, would you think a sewing machine would come for us to label? I highly doubt that. I think more than likely, probably in the multiple choice question, they may ask you questions on the different parts of the sewing machine, but I've never actually seen a past paper with them asking you to label the parts of the sewing machine. They may ask you about it or probably show you a picture of it and ask you what that part is for, but not necessarily to label like every single part. But it's good if you knew what they were and what they were used for. Are you going to be doing all the textile? Is so I have um, I don't have all the papers, Joylene. And remember, sleep kind of taking over all of us. So I may not do everything, but if there's like a one or two question that you're not so sure of, then you can ask it and then I can answer it or try to answer it. So natural and man-made. Somebody said synthetic. Synthetic is a type of man-made, so you can just stick to the natural and the man-made. Um, so animals such as sheep or silk, the fibers that come from this are wool and silk. Yes. Plant fiber vanya is a natural fiber. So the two main sources would be natural and man-made. So in describing them, you would say what natural and man-made fibers are. Dexter says cellulose fibers, and those are also natural. So you just stick to the natural and the man-made. Oh yes, Jocelyn, sure, definitely. You can send me them. Or if you have any paper ones, because I do think that paper one is like the last exam for some persons. So if you have paper ones, I think I only have one past paper. So if you have any other paper ones, I can go through those as well for the multiple choice. Natural, so Azel says natural fibers come from the environment, like cellulose or plants, and protein, which is plants. So we can just say natural fibers come from the environment, such as plants and animals, because animals are also natural. It did not ask you to give examples, so you don't necessarily have to say wool and whatever. You can, because you are still describing it, but we can leave it at plants and animals. So they come from nature or the environment, such as plants and animals. Um, Measurements for fashion sketching and drawing, please. Okay, Rachel. Okay, so for fashion figures, I guess you are referring to the topics that were there. I believe that for that particular part, they would focus more for the sketching. And I believe that that's why they have that there. So when you are sketching, based on whatever question they're asking you, then you should be able to sketch your drawings using what you were taught in fashion sketching and drawing. So I think that that's really what that question is about, not necessarily that you have to know information per se. I think I came across a question once where it said maybe like style is, you know, what is defined style. But I think for the fashion sketching and the measurements, I don't honestly think they're going to ask you like what are the measurements that you need. I think mostly for that, it's really how you apply it to the sketches. So I think that that's where that topic would come in for when you're sketching. Okay. Um, Not really for like content to ask you about it. Man-made, okay, so Azel says man-made are synthetic and regenerated. Yes, excellent. Okay, Joylyn, I'm going to send you my email in the chat. So you can definitely send them to me. Um, Norvia, when you say minerals as well, are you saying that minerals are for natural or man-made? Because they are natural, so we can use minerals like asbestos, which are rocks. So yes, those are definitely natural. Implementing and evaluating. Okay, so for implementing in the management process, and for those of you who are not familiar with that, so the management process, you have planning, organizing, implementing, controlling, and evaluating. So in the planning stage, this is where you basically find out what your idea is or what your goal is, what you want to achieve, and how you want to carry that out, right? Now, in organizing, this is where you put things into place and you want to be able to say, okay, you are going to allocate this towards that, and you find out what your alternatives are and how you are going to actually go about completing the task or carrying out the goal. That's organizing. So what resources do you need to carry out the goal, right? So let's use an example of passing CXC tomorrow. That's our plan. So our plan or our goal is to pass our textile clothing and fashion exam tomorrow. So in organizing, we join the live today. We review our past papers, so we are using our resources to review the past papers and stuff like that, and we are doing study groups. That is what you would do in organizing. You set up a schedule to say, okay, at X time, this is when you're going to study this particular topic, and so on. For implementing, this is where you actually carry out the task. So this is the action phase, as what we would call it, the action phase of the management process. So this is where the goal is, the task is actually being done. So here you are actually sitting the exam, right? So that's what you're doing implementing. Or it could be that you are doing what you said you were supposed to do. You are actively involved in the live, you are studying and stuff like that. For controlling, you observe, you check, and you change. So you want to observe what is going on, you want to check to see if it is working, and you want to change it if you realize that it is not going as according to plan, right? So that's what you do in controlling. And in evaluating, you basically just go over and say whether it was a success or not. Were you actually able to complete your goal? Were you actually able to stay up on the live until it was finished? Did you actually study anything? Did you remember anything? You're going to look back at what you did and decide whether or not your plan was successful, and if you need to wheel and come again and try something different. So that's what the different steps are in the management process. Miss So, will you be able to do an example question? An example question of which topic, Rachel? Um, you can work out the measurements for a curtain and how you work out how much fabric you need. People have been problems, and I saw it on a couple past papers. Okay. Okay, so controlling, let me just finish with those processes of management. So controlling and motivating. For that one, which paper did I see that one in? The controlling is the same thing. Um, you're getting Dexter upset, guys. Okay, so for controlling, you are basically, as I said, going to check, to change, and observe, right? To see if your plan is actually going according to what you had done. For motivating, this one is probably where you would see what you can do. I think sometimes some of the words may be used interchangeably. um so motivating is just what other alternatives could you possibly add to it to see if you could do something a little bit better, you know. um Let me see if I had my phone. As I said, we just helping each other or have incentives. Yes, Norvia, very good. So having incentives. Let's see. I Don't normally teach it with the motivating. I do know it as just planning, organizing, implementing, controlling, and evaluating. But sometimes, you can kind of make up a little something, something, especially if you do like POB. Ugh, this light is not making me be great. Okay. All right. So let me just look up motivating. Right. So that's why I know it as Nicole, planning, organizing, implementing, controlling, and evaluating. So let's see, motivating in management principles. Okay, so I would go with what Norvia has says to have incentives, like prizes, cash, awards, stuff like that you can incentivize to actually get the job done. Some motivation. So it could be cash or kind. Yeah. Um, okay. All right. So past paper time because Dexter is getting rowdy. Okay, so we did number one. As I said, guys, for today, we're just kind of trying to go through as much stuff as possible. So, yes, I will be doing some past papers, as well as if you wanted to clarify anything in between that you may not understand, then you can always throw those out. All right. So Dexter don't bash everybody. No, everybody want try get a little something something in. Okay. Somebody had mentioned something about calculating the measurements for a curtain. Okay, I saw one of my students had actually WhatsApped me on a question like this as well. Now, for the measurements for the curtain, it really depends on the size of the window. So if it is that, sorry, you are given the size of the window, then for most curtains, it is usually 3 times the size of the window. So if it is that the window is, let's say, 36 inches wide, then the width of the fabric would need to be 3 times 36 inches wide. Now, usually when you are buying fabric for upholstering or for curtains, they come in 110 inches long or wide 110 wide, because of the fact that you need a lot of it. So if you ever been to like El Piazar and you went upstairs and you wanted some fabric for some curtains, they would sell you 110 inches wide. So you would kind of double down on the amount that you would buy in a regular store like a Pings or a Pablo's, unless they sell 110 wide fabric, right? So usually some fabrics come in like 45 inches wide, and you would have to double that. But if you're using 110 fabric, then you would use like a lesser amount. So if it's 36 inches for the window, so let's just calculate that. So the window is 36 inches, 36 times 3, so that's 108. You would need at least 108 inches wide, right? And then you would have to take from the top of the windowsill. Usually you take about maybe like 5 inches above the windowsill, because you would notice that, oh, I have a window right behind me. So we'll use this as an example. You will notice that for this window, the rod is not exactly at the windowsill, it is a little bit above. So in measuring the curtain, it would still be the same measurement that you would measure from above the windowsill down to the ground. Now, the length really determines how long you want it to be. If it is like a cafe curtain, and cafe curtains we normally use in like a kitchen, and cafe curtains are usually like the short ones that stop like here, and then you would see the rest of the window to allow some light to come in. But then you have drapes which are usually longer. So I think it would depend on how much the window is. But a safe bet would be to like multiply it by 3, and then you should be able to calculate the length or the amount of fabric that you may need for the window. I hope that kinda explains it a bit. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I'm back at Vanya, where Vanya was that we don't really teach motivating, right? So it's usually just, as I said, planning, organizing, implementing, controlling, and evaluating. But for motivating, as I say, you can like maybe weasel in a little something something, but just ensure that that something something kind of makes sense and matches to the principles of management. So I think I had seen that one when I was doing the last video, and it said you were supposed to pick um which one you wanted to say, and motivating was among them. I would not choose motivating, I would choose any of the others because I don't know how to answer that one. So if you see a question, guys, and you can answer 2 of the 3 things that they're asking you, choose the ones that you are definitely able to answer and leave the other ones alone. Yes, Azel, I will be doing a live for the paper one the day before the exam, and I will also be uploading some reviews for paper one as well. Um, my good friend who said they were going to send me some, can't remember the name. Joalyn. Yes, Joalyn said she's going to send me some. So, yeah. All right, let's see. Okay, so Cleon, I'm scrolling back through the messages, guys. Can you explain technological developments in fibers and fabric construction? Okay, now I don't want you guys to be overwhelmed by the topics. Most of the topics are just broad categories, and they are broken down into some smaller categories, more than likely by your teachers. So, technological developments in fibers, those would be like the fabric finishes, and fabric construction is just like weaving, knitting, bonding, those kind of stuff. So there was a question here. Let me give you an example. So it says here, state the name given to the rows of stitches in knitted fabrics in each of the following directions: lengthwise direction and crosswise direction. So that question would fall under fabric construction, right? So it's not like, oh, you're going to blatantly see in the question that, oh, this falls under fabric construction. You just have to know how they would normally structure the questions. Usually what I find is that at the beginning of the questions, like number 1 and number 2 is usually about fibers. So anything about fibers and fabric construction and the methods of fabric construction are usually placed in number 1 and number 2. So the properties of fibers, how they are constructed, how they look under the microscope, those all fall under um, technological developments. Types of fabrics like lycra, they may ask you questions like what type of method is used for like a jersey, and that's knitting for fabric construction, like a jersey that you'd wear or a polo shirt. They would ask you those kind of questions, so they kind of fall under technological development. So mixing fabrics like lycra, spandex, and these are all fabrics that have stretch that we use for like swimsuits and stuff. But back to this question. So it says, state the name given to the rows of stitches in knitted fabrics in each of the following directions. So you have the lengthwise direction. No, we're not talking about weaving. So weaving is different. So weaving, you'd have like a plain weave, the basket weave, twill weave, yada, yada, yada. For this one, they're referring to knits. So the lengthwise direction of a knit is called rib or wale, and these are rows or loops in a lengthwise position. Courses are rows of loops in a crosswise position. So we have rib and wale for lengthwise, and you have courses for crosswise. Similarly, for weaving fabrics, you have warp and you have weft. Now, a simple way that I normally use to identify warp and weft yarns, I say weft is left and warp is up. So that's how I remember how they go. So weft is left to right, right? And warp is up and down. So whichever direction the selvage is, and the selvage is usually the lengthwise. So you can use that to to identify the warp and the weft threads. For the knitting, an easy way to remember it is that cross is course and length is rib and wale. So once you remember the crosswise grains are courses, then the other one would automatically be the rib or the wale. All right, so let's Nicole, I see you said geo textiles, new textiles, last cleaning, self cleaning textile. Felicia says, and the length of the window. Right, so the length of the window would be with the width. So the length and the width, that determines how much you buy. Because remember, 1 yard would be 36 inches. So when you measure the length, then that would determine how much of it you buy. So let's say the length is 72. So you would want to get 72 inches long and the width. So if you're using 110 fabric, you would already have the width for a 36 by 72 inch window. You would already have the width because we said that was like 108, but you would have to have at least some more for the seam allowance on the sides, of course. So it would have to be plus the seam allowance. And also remember that the seam allowances on the curtains are a lot bigger than if you're making regular garments. Check my email. Number 2 now with color. Life with Marky polo shirt would be knitting as a method of fabric construction. Pics to the live. Jolene, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to like add somebody to the live. But let me check my email in the meantime because I'm using my laptop. Okay, Nicole, I see your paper one. So that one until closer to the time um when we're going to do paper one. So, or you wanted me to go through paper one? Lissandra, when you say burn test, what are you talking about? Okay, Joylene, I let me see if I can screen share. I don't know if it has that feature on this. Because, like, even if you had sent me something, um, maybe I could share it to identify fabrics. Um, but I wanted to know what she was making reference to. But yes, to identify fabrics, we have burn test. To something under fire. Yes. Okay. I see what you're saying now, Lissandra. Yeah. They normally ask you that as well, how to identify fibers. So anything pertaining to fibers, usually, as I said, comes from number one and two. I'm seeing here this question still a part of May 2018. Dexter, when you said that wasn't a topic for us, as in you didn't get that one in class. Fibers wasn't on the list for that C-Sec sent out. That's strange. It's usually always there. You are a supervisor in a fabric store. A shopper wanted some information on a new fabric made of a blend of lyocell and polyester fibers. This blend was suggested as a suitable choice for making formal wear dresses for an outdoor afternoon event. Explain to the shopper two reasons why the lyocell polyester blends are suitable choice for the formal wear dresses. So first of all, we need to know um what lyocell polyester is. So, like, if it has any stretch and why it be a suitable fabric. So this lyocell polyester also falls under technological developments in fibers because it is a mixture of two different types of fibers, right? So we see how this question falls under it. So it's not going to blatantly say, oh, here I am, technological development. No. Um, All right, so let's look up because guys, I don't know what lyocell polyester fiber is or look like. So let me just look it up. I'm not even going to go around it. And I've been sewing for years. Lyocell polyester. Let's see. Okay, so it says lyocell is a semi-synthetic fabric that is commonly used as a substitute for cotton or silk. This fabric is a form of rayon and it is composed primarily of cellulose derived from wood. Now, to me, when I heard lyocell polyester, what I thought about was what do you call it again? I thought about, it's on the tip of my tongue, lycra. I thought about cotton lycra. And lycra, I normally use lycra as lining for some garments, which is why I found it very strange that they had it there. So, or I would sometimes, or you can probably find it on, like, what you call it? like netball uniform, like sports wear. So it's one of those fabrics that are kind of cool and breezy, but you would see it underneath like a formal dress. So that's what I'm thinking about when I hear lyocell polyester blend. I'm thinking of lycra. Um, Yeah. So as Joylyn says, it's soft and area, yes, and it has a little bit of stretch. So I would see why they would use it for formal wear, because formal wear you have to keep them on for a good amount of time. So it's breathable and allows you to have some comfort. Um yes. All right. Next question. Describe three properties of fabric that would be suitable for making clothing for a stage performer working in a high-end club. Um, okay, Felicia, are you in a different time zone? Everybody else is saying one. I do know my students had said one. So Felicia, maybe you want to check that 12, or maybe that 2 was an error. Okay, so for someone who is working in a high-end club, you would want to have something that is kind of shiny and um something that is breathable, so that's a property. So elasticity is one, so how it stretches, how resilient it is, if it's able to spring back to its shape. For someone in a high-end club, maybe they would rotate the costumes or the garments. So maybe today I am working, tomorrow is Joalyn time, so maybe we wash the garments and then we rewear them. So you want to be able to have them stretch so that they can fit a number of persons who are similar size. So that would be a property for somebody, for a performer, or maybe, for example, let's say you are going to a resort. That would be like a high end club. Yes, Nicole, stain resistant. Yes. So it's easy to clean or easy to launder and remove stains easily. So if it gets dirty, maybe from like wine or drinks or so on, then that is a good property. Very good. Breathable. Yes, for stage lights attract heat. I know sometimes when you're up on stage, you're supposed to be able to see the costume, so you still want that kind of shininess that's being given off, and you still want the performer to be comfortable. Yes, Lysandra, flexible. That is another property. We want to ensure that we are using words that describe the property. So flexible, yes. Breathable, durable, as well, yes. Stain resistant, yes, that's a property. Elasticity, resilience, those are all properties. They maybe need to move, yes. So it should be flexible, right? Or it should have high elasticity. So it's elastic enough so that it can move based on your body. So when you're moving up and you're breaking down, high luster. So it reflects light. Well, very good, Nicole. Somebody was studying or somebody looking out at them book. Very good. Yes. You can say high luster or lustrous, yes. Right. So number 2 for paper for 2018, right? Number 2. So it says define the term primary color as it relates to the color wheel. Give one example of a primary color. Anybody? I have the answers for that, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Define the term primary color as it relates to the color wheel and give, okay, so it's Kashi is only giving me the example, but she's not defining it. So remember, the question says to define it, so you have to tell me what a primary color is, and then you give me an example. So, Lysandra, yes. So, primary colors are colors that cannot be made by mixing any other color, right? So, it is a pure color that cannot be made by any other color. Okay, just read. I'm just reading the comments. Yes. Okay, so everybody basically has that. So the examples blue, red, and yellow only. Those are the three primary colors only. So those you can mix to make other colors, secondary and tertiary colors, but the primary colors are those that you cannot that cannot be made by mixing anything else. State two reasons for adding color to fabric. Why would we add color to fabric? To add value, give me a little bit more than that. Um, so I hope when you guys are answering, you don't just write those one word stuff, like aesthetics. What you mean? What you mean by that? For visual appeal, yes, Lysandra, to add value and to make it more attractive. Thank you, Azel. To enhance appearance, to make them attractive, to create a different look or design. Yes, yes, create to make it attractive. Okay, family pat. No problem. Better late than never. To add value, fabrics in their natural state is grayish. Okay, yes, all right. So when you are stating your reason, add a little something to it so that the person who is marking it knows what you are talking about. So color is added to fabric to attract you to a particular garment. It aids in aesthetic beauty, to create a design, enhance character of material. Very good, Nicole. So just add to make fabric more noticeable and attractive. Very good. So when you have just a little one word aesthetics, it's not really saying much. Okay, so yes, the answer may be correct, but you want to give a little more body to the answer. Okay. Next question. State one difference between natural dyes and synthetic dyes. State one difference between natural dyes and synthetic dyes. Anybody? Yes, Lysandra, natural dyes are from natural sources, while complete the sentence. Who is going to complete that for Lysandra? So she's halfway there. So natural dyes are from natural sources. Okay, all right. So it's found, and synthetic dyes are man-made, so they are chemically manufactured. So right. Okay, so let's not say that. Yes, we know that they are man-made, but we want to include as well that they are chemically manufactured. So you want to put that word in just so that we know that it's chemicals that are added. So in the same way that you would say that natural fibers come from nature and the environment, then the man-made ones, or the synthetic ones, they are man-made and are chemically manufactured, right? So that's the major difference. Um, Teja, I'm going through 2018. Yes, I'm just looking through the comments to see. Yes, and persons basically have the general idea. Okay, question B number 2. A uniform committee is in the process of choosing a new fabric for work shirts for the males in the organization. Recommend one fabric that is suitable for the shirts and one fabric finish that could be appropriately applied to the fabric. So we see again where fabric construction still comes out and the technological developments in fibers are still coming out in question number 2. So a uniform committee is in the process of choosing a new fabric for work shirts. For the males in the organization, recommend one fabric that is suitable for the shirt and one fabric finish that could be appropriately applied to the fabric. All right, so Joanne says Oxford shirting and crease resistant. Yes, very good. Um, so crease resistant because it's not it doesn't crease easily and it's you can just take it up and just wear it, right? Um, yeah. So we could use a knit for that as well because knitted fabrics are crease resistant. I think some Oxford shirting fabrics you have to press. Sanding, CJ, I don't know what sanding is, to be honest. Calico Faith, you said calico. We would not use calico Faith because I don't think calico is used for that purpose. For like uniforms, we don't really use calico in that sense. So calico would not be the best choice. But yes, wrinkle resistant finish would be a good option. I would say, as I said, for work shirts, for the males, something that is stain resistant or wrinkle resistant that doesn't crease easily. So, like a shirting, Oxford shirting, as someone had said, mercerized cotton, polyester, something that is breathable. So, let's try to stick with some basic ones, but definitely not the calico. Um, yes, Kalia. Oh, hi, Kalia. Yes, so polyester. But as I said, for like knitted fabrics, you can say that too. So anything knit, which is like the polos, as we said. Explain one reason to support your answer. Now, in explanations, when you're explaining, then you are going to tell us why you said that, right? So, why did you say what you said above? What's the reason to support it? Wrinkle resistant so that they don't have to press it very easily. um Very good, Joalyn. Polyester is actually a fiber and not a fabric, so you would have to be very specific in the type of um fabric choice that you make. The finish crease resistant is best suitable because of the professionalism, and easily wrinkled shirt would not make a person appear professional. I would say for the last part, not that an easily wrinkled shirt, but it's more appealing on the eyes as opposed to a shirt that wrinkles easily. So like a linen shirt, you wouldn't really wear a linen shirt to work because linen kind of crushes easily. So we would want to stay away from linen or any other fabric that creases easily or crushes easily. List 3 instructions for laundering a pair of black trousers made from 85% polyester and 15% wool. Yes, Joylene, definitely. So for the crease resistant, that answer would definitely go for the explain one reason to support your answer. Right. Um, CJ says no bleach, definitely no bleach. Hand wash, yes. Or we could machine wash with light colors, not light, but light colors. So you can still put it in the machine. Hang in the shade, yes. Line dry, tumble dry. Um, Nicole, why you said dry clean? I want to hear why Nicole says dry clean for this particular pants. Yes, no, no bleach, machine wash, hang in the shade. Very good. Or line dry, flat dry. I think you would have to hang this one because of the wool, you know. So, but I see, but now I see I only have a good percent. Right. That's why I was asking you why you would take it to the dry cleaners. Um, Yeah, you would probably only take it if it's a type of fabric that is hard to launder. But because it has that small percentage of the wool, kind of like work pants, you know, like a man's work pants, then you can launder that yourself. I would not necessarily say flat dry. Life of Marky, flat dry is more like you don't hang it up on the line. So you lay it flat to dry. And I wouldn't recommend that you lay at pants to dry because then it's not breathable enough for air to pass through for it to dry properly, right? So I wouldn't recommend the flat drying. Everything else, yes, definitely not the flat drying. All right, next question. In the space below, sketch three appropriate care symbols which should be used as a guide for laundering the trousers. So that's three marks. So you'd get one mark for each care label. And of course, when you are labeling them, when you are drawing them, you would have to label which one you have. So for the iron, of course, you know, you draw the shape of the iron. Yes, so triangle with the X would be, let's see. See, because I don't really look at care labels, so let me look. And as I said, guys, I don't know everything. So let's just fact check. All right, so 43 to 44. Oh, and I'm using this book, by the way, guys, in case you have it. This is a book that I'm cross referencing everything in. Yes, so the triangle with the cross is definitely no bleach. Um, the iron, definitely we need the iron. I would say hot based on the fiber contents. So the iron with the three dots. Between warm and hot, I think that would be okay. Um, and the square for the drying, whether it is the semicircle for the line. Yeah. All right. Next question. Okay, so number three says outline three reasons individuals select the clothing that they wear. So this falls under reasons for wearing clothes or fashion for the individual and the home. So, what are three reasons individuals wear clothes? For protection, and it says outline. So remember our keywords, Felicia. So when you said um protection, you have to outline. So what are the key facts in protection? So protection against what? Against harmful elements, protection against the climate. Yes. So yes, protection, but I want you guys to make sure that you are specific, because the question says to outline 3 reasons, and that's 6 marks, so you get 2 marks for each. So if you only have protection, um group identity, personal identification, if you only have that, you're not going to get the 2 marks. So you have to say, to for group identification, to identify you as a part of a group, or to indicate the group that you are a part of, for example, yada yada yada, then that would probably give you the 2 marks, as opposed to you just saying protection, group identification, status, and stuff. But yes, the answers are correct. Get lit witness for appearance. For that one, you would say decoration or adornment, right? That's a reason. So like necklaces, jewelry, tattoos. Yeah. Um Yes, Felicia, very good. So protection, I like that answer. So how Felicia has it, where she says protection, clothing helps prevent people from outside elements and the climate. That is a perfect response to outlining one of the reasons, right? So she has the reason, and then she's stating some facts as to why that is a reason, not just leaving it up to, yeah. But self-expression, yes. Azelle says for identification, for persons to know who they are. For example, a police uniform, very good. And the police uniform could also be used as status. So judge can be used for status as well as identification. Firemen can be used for protection as well as group identification. Um, like Girl Guide, 4-H, Red Cross, those can be used for identification. Bank tellers can be used for identification as well. School uniforms can be used for identification. CJ says wearing to beautify their body, so that would be adornment or decoration, right? So that would be the reason. Modesty is another reason too, to cover up the body, you know. And also protection under that one. Personal identity, yet to self-expression, yes, so that would fall under self-expression, personal identity. Oh, Shanice, I see yours, because it creates a modern look to the um it's catchy because it creates a modern look of the person. Um I'm not so sure about that one. I wouldn't really write that one. You probably would get away with it, but leave that one for last. Like if you really can't remember anything else, then yeah, but try to find something else. Okay, so Lissandra says personal likes and dislikes, love and affection. Yes, so like lingerie, a red dress, high heels, those kind of lipstick, those are clothes as well, or accessories. Those are worn for love and affection as well. So any of these responses are perfect. Okay. Now, question B says, in the space below, sketch the back view of an elaborate bridal dress that will be worn in cool conditions in the late evening. So, anything that would probably maybe have like an open back, perhaps. It could be form fitting, like a mermaid silhouette with a long trail or train, or it could be a ball gown, because sometimes the evenings are a little bit cooler. And it says elaborate, so elaborate could mean a lot of details on the dress. So we can add details by using beads, lace, embellishments, and stuff like that. So those can be incorporated. So if you have those on the dress, then of course, you'd label it to identify what you're talking about or what you have drawn. Okay. Oh, but it says sketch the back view. So you definitely have to sketch it from behind. So yeah. Um and you can label your diagrams as well to say back view of the bridal dress so that they know that it's a back view. So if you have like a deep cut, or you could have for bridal dresses, some bridal dresses have the string and the, come guys, you're supposed to know these openings and fastenings, the eyelets, loops, string and loops, right? So the loops, where you can, like a corset where you can pull it together, a lot of bridal dresses have that so that it can adjust to the female body. So who can I, for bridal dress, depending on where you have it, Felicia, depending on where you have it, then yes, it can be used. But I was actually talking about the loops and the lace or the string. So you have the long string and then you loop it just like a shoelace, and then you have to draw up the shoelace. It's the same thing at the back. So they're probably looking for those kind of things at the back of the, sorry, of the dress. Um okay. List 4 features of the dress sketched in B and make it suitable for the occasion. That make it suitable for the occasion described. And as I just said a while ago, so the loops and the lace, or the eyelets and the lace, those would be, some use lace to pull, yes, right? So you can use that as in like or satin ribbons. So those are some of the things that actually are some features that make it suitable for that. So if you have, when we say lace, though, the lace could be the that kind of, what would I call it now? Like when you have runners on the dresser, like a runner. Yes, Nicole, the features are what is on the clothes. So like the openings and the fastenings or whatever. So that's why I'm saying, like the lace can be that mesh, those mesh see-through fabrics, that can be lace as well. Not like shoes lace, lace as in the fabric. So like lingerie type lace. So it could be like the back is completely bare with lace, and you can probably put that, or the dress is lined with lace. So that would be a feature. So like lace, the eyelets, or the loops and the string, that could be another feature as well. To be perfect, because I really not good at drawing, would I lose marks? Yes, Lysandra, lace designs, yes. For Azel, I've never marked C-set before, but as I said, because you should actually have learned how to do fashion sketching, then you should have a basic idea of like how to do proportions. So we would see like the head, and that would be like a flat figure drawing, as opposed to like you're drawing a shirt, like a stick man shirt, and it just don't have no form, no kind of nothing. But I don't think you're going to get marked down for it, because I don't think they're expecting you guys to be artists, but as best as you can. Sometimes I come across some drawings from even my students, and I'm like, what is, like, I can't understand nothing. No, CJ, I am a clothing teacher only, and I only teach family and consumer management, grade 7 and 8. So I don't do foods at all. I will eat it, but I don't teach it. Conflict resolution. Look at how many marks for the question. If you draw and sketch for 2 marks. Yes, very good observation, Joylene. Always pay attention to the marks that you get that is allocated to the sketch. That will determine how detailed they want it to be. So this one, it said the back view and it's only 2 marks, but it does not mean that you have to draw something that don't really look good, right? But try your best to draw something. And for 2 marks, they're not asking you for like a whole bunch of stuff. Because around the other side, then they ask you for the features. So in the drawing, and because it's the back, probably it's not a lot of details. What they really want to see is how you use the style features for the dress. So I think that that's really what they want to see, which is why they ask you for the 4 features. So the lace, the probably hook and eye maybe at the top, for the neckline, or the loops and lace. Then those are some of the things that they're actually looking for. um Yes, Lysandra. Yes, it can look like that because, as I said, it said, the question said elaborate. So make it as fancy as you want. For the sketches, really and truly, guys, the sketches are your opinions. There's no right or wrong answer for a sketch. So yeah, as long as you are able to talk about what you have. Okay, so somebody says talk about conflict resolution. Let me check if one of the papers had that, because I think I remember seeing, or if you have a question that speaks about conflict resolution, just drop it in the chat and let me know. But I'm almost sure I saw a question from 1 to 10. Cool. Okay. No, man, as in, if you have a question, like a past paper question on conflict resolution, I know that conflict resolution is pretty new to the clothing syllabus. I know it's normally done in management. So is advertising as well, and the consumer rights and responsibilities. I'm not sure if those are among that. Okay, so I'm not seeing any. Um, yes, CJ, it's how to resolve a conflict and what is a conflict. And a conflict is usually a disagreement between 2 or more persons or groups of persons, right? So there are certain steps in conflict resolution. So even though we have identified that count down from like 1 to 10 or walk away from the problem, you really want to be able to identify what the problem is first, right? So conflict resolution, you identify the issue so that you can address it, and then you think of ways in which to deal with it. And if you can't come to an agreement, then you may need mediation, like a third party to intervene and come in and talk about, whatever it is. And you have to listen actively. Yes. If you do management, in the purple book, similar to the orange one for clothing, in the purple book, there's a lot of information in the purple book. I usually use that book to talk about conflict resolution. Accommodating, yes. Avoiding, collaboration, competing, compromising, getting assistance. Competing, what do you mean by competing? Arbitration, yes, Lysandra. Daniela, consumerism. Oh, are we finished with the conflict resolution? Third person, yes, let's do conflict. Let's finish up with that and then go into consumerism. I think I just came across a question on consumerism, and I want to try to wrap up real soon. It's what, 9:30 now, guys. Can you guys see the sleep tick-tacking on my eyelids, walking up and down on them? Um Okay. Healthy competing helps bring out the best in everyone. Okay. All right. Yes, sure. Seeing who has the best idea to resolve the conflict. Okay, so who has the best idea? That would have to be compromising so that you can come to an agreement, right? And if there's no agreement that can be solved, then you would definitely have to seek mediation from a third party. Yes, Miss, would you advise that if they inform us to sketch or draw garment and that we use a croquis? I don't know if you can take croquis in the exam with you. Um, but as I said, you do have different forms of sketching. So you have flat figure sketching where you are just drawing the garment as though it's you have it on the bed. So think about like when you are putting out your clothes for school, right? Or going out to a party. And then you have the clothes on the bed, lying out, that's flat figure drawing. So you don't see no shoulders, you don't see no head, just the flat thing. You can draw like that, or you can sketch like that. Or you can use a silhouette, which is the croquis, and you can sketch using that. So those are two ways in which you can do that. Um Whoa, 10:30, guys. You're living dangerously. This is way past my bedtime. Ooh, murder. Good thing that tomorrow is a holiday. Well, here in Jamaica, it's a holiday. It's Labor Day, so some persons don't have to wake up very early, like myself, only to get to school. So I have to account for my girls. Um, Flat sketching, not really teach it, but you know, did it in university. Hi, Michaela. Nice to have you. Um, Yarn construction. So, CJ, we had looked at yarn construction before when we talked about fibers and yarns and cross and wales and stuff like that. So, we did actually touch on that a little bit, and knitting and weaving and bonding and felting. We did kind of go on that a bit. Oh, so somebody had said consumerism. Michaela, you missed a lot. Okay. But next time I need to walk with some water for this live because talking for 1 hour and 33 minutes. Good God, you guys need to send me some water. Right. So consumerism, Jarlene, thank you for keeping me on track. Yes, definitely. Family Pat, I'm going to post it. Hopefully it posts and uploads. Yes, Cleon, so long. Thank you guys for staying. Consumerism, now don't distract me. So it says question number 4 from paper 2017. State 2 rights of consumers. So what are the rights of consumers? Remember, consumers have rights and we also have responsibilities. So the rights are the things that you have or that we have, and the responsibilities are the things that we should as consumers know and uphold. It's like our code of ethics, right? So what are some of the rights of a consumers? Yes, Joelyn, send me anything. Yes. So yes, Cassandra, Michaela, the right to choose. Okay, Cleon says to carry back an item if it has expired. So that would be redress. So if you are using something that's not so good, then you can take it back and you can get something else in exchange for it. So that's what redress is. Consumer education, the right to redress, the right to freedom. Freedom from what exactly? Hmm. The right to choose. So you are given a variety of options and you can choose from them. So like if you go to the market, you have different persons that sell the same thing. Or prime example, like when you go to the bus park and you have a conductor saying red hills and they're dragging you to come into this bus, you actually have a right to choose which bus you want to go into, right? The right to safety, yes. So safety for the products, which is why sometimes you have companies that recall certain products if they are not safe. So there was a time when some of the tissues were not good, certain brands, they had a recall of those tissues so that persons could stop using them. Or like toothpaste, or sometimes we hear stories about some chemicals dropping in certain products, so they recall them for our safety. And that's why you have consumer agencies that are there set up for those reasons, like the Bureau of Standards and stuff like that, the Ministry of Health. The right to be heard, so you are able to voice your opinion on something that is not fair for you, right? The right to be, somebody says to file complaints, that's redress as well. So you are able to redress and make a complaint about a product and get something else in exchange for it. So sometimes you may see certain places, that's a responsibility, but you may see certain places that say no refund or exchange without your receipt. So it is your responsibility to make sure that what you are buying is something that is not expired. So it's your responsibility to read the expiration dates on it. That's your responsibility. You are responsible for returning excess change. Did you know that? Like if the cashier give you too much, you're actually responsible for giving them back the change. That's your responsibility. So get with it says get lit to speak. That's the right to be informed, right? Or the right to be heard. Sorry, the right to be heard. Um, the right to a healthy environment. Yes, very good. So people who clean up like our islands, and islands I mean by the medians in the middle of the street, they clean up those. We have a company out here, MPM, Metropolitan Parks and Market, that usually cleans up the islands, sweep up the dirt, stuff like that. So we have that right. Yet I know CJ hardly anybody does, but it is our responsibility because, as I said, consumers have both rights and responsibilities. So even though we want our rights to be heard, or we want to express our rights, it's our responsibility as law abiding, responsible consumers to give back excess change, as well as not to change the price tags on sale items. So sometimes I might go in a store, I might see something for sale, and I might say, geez, I'm want this, I'm well want this, I need it. And then you might change the tag, for the one that's on sale for the other one, and then that's not your responsibility, is not to do that. What else was there? The right to be informed, the right to consumer education, and not just any education. Sometimes on local TV, we would have, there was a program, I don't remember what it's called, but they would always talk about your consumer rights, and like if something happened to you, where to go and what to do. Yes, TikTok memes, I would definitely post this video after. um What you get with it and Michaela having a grand conversation. Pay attention, guys, and stop your side conversations. Okay, name two organizations in the Caribbean that are responsible for protecting the rights of consumers. I did actually answer a question similar to this in one of my other videos. But we have the Consumer Affairs Commission. I don't know if it's the same in other countries. Joanne, you can let me know, and anybody else from like St. Kitts or any other Caribbean country, let me know if there are any consumer agencies in your um the ombudsman. We hardly really use them, to be honest. We have Bureau of Standards, National Consumers League. Yes, I mentioned those in my other video as well. Consumer Affairs Commission. um okay, so when I was doing this question, the Bureau of Standards, I was questioning the Bureau of Standards as a organization that's responsible for protecting our rights, because they are mostly looking at the standards for products and services, and just ensuring that the products are up to standard, not necessarily for your rights per se, like Consumer Affairs Commission, which is definitely for your rights. So I was kind of iffy about the Bureau of Standards. Department of Trade and Consumer Affairs. Not so sure about Ministry of Health. Lysandra, maybe. Um, as I said, it's really rights of the consumers. You know. Thank you, Faith. Consumer Affairs Division in Trinidad. So we have Consumer Affairs Commission in Jamaica. So Price Commission, like Price Waterhouse Coopers. Fair Trading Commission, to ensure that trading is fair across the borders and stuff. State two methods that businesses use to advertise their products or services. Two methods that businesses use to advertise their products and services. Anybody? Newspaper, digital commercials, ads, TV, yes. Ambassadors, very good. Billboards, flyers, posters, magazines, um, television, radio, social media, yes. Tone cry, that's when they drive around in the cars and you hear the people them talking. It's a tone cry. Suggest a major fashion silhouette for a bridal dress that would be most flattering for a slim, petite young woman. Give a reason for your answer. Not tone cry, CJ, tone cry. So tone cry is when you drive around in the car or the vehicle and you hear them announcing something. They normally use tone cry as well for like during election time when the candidates are campaigning. Yeah. Okay, so Lissandra says yes, Faith, social media, definitely. Social media influencers as well. And those are some modern um ways of advertisement. Brand ambassadors. Okay, so repeat the question. Suggest a major fashion silhouette for a bridal dress that would be most flattering for a slim, petite young woman. Give a reason for your answer. Slim, petite, yes. Ball gown, yes. Empire line or mermaid dress, yes. Drop waist. Why you said drop waist? Because it says give a reason. For the slim, the drop waist makes you look longer, and she's slim. So she probably would not want to look any slimmer. I think the dropped waist may give an illusion that, she's slim. She's taller. Tone. TOWN. Tone cry. Trumpet, yes. Yeah. Right, Joylyn. Um, so it should add some body to the person or try to flatter their figure type. And then the next one says, sketch the front view of the design of a dress that is suitable for a receptionist working in a lawyer's office. So nothing too short looking, nothing too tight, nothing looking like they're going to a party. Yes, Cleon, a bell could work. And yes, Michaela trumpet could work as well. For the sketch, for the receptionist, working in a lawyer's office, as I said, nothing looking too short, nothing too tight, a nice little blazer, with an inside top and a skirt or a pants, simple clean lines, perfect. Label one style feature on the design sketched. So you would label the style features, which are like cowl neckline, um puff sleeves, those are style features. A line, empire line, surplice wrap, those are style features. Pleats, tucks, um sweetheart neckline, bell foot pants, straight foot pants, palazzo pants, those are style features. So whatever you draw, just make sure you are able to label those using the style features. Peter Pan neckline, yes. So colors, you can use colors. Those are style features too. A young man is leaving home to study at a university in a foreign country. He has been advised to plan a suitable wardrobe for his new lifestyle. Yes, Michaela, Mandarin as well, depending on the style that you're drawing. Outline any two steps he should take in planning a suitable wardrobe. A young man is leaving home to study at a university in a foreign country. He has been advised to plan a suitable wardrobe for his new lifestyle. Outline any two steps he should take in planning a suitable wardrobe. Yes, very good. That's the first thing. He would have to consider the climate or the weather to determine what type of clothes he will carry, right? Very good. Cost, personal likes and dislikes. English, when you say cost, be a little bit more specific in terms of budget, right? So cost could be his budget, or how much he can afford to spend, or cost could be how much the clothes value, right? So if he can afford expensive or cheap clothes. So when you write cost, be a little bit more specific. Joylyn says consider what activity he will attend. Very good, because that will determine what type of clothes. So the activities that he will do, whether it's casual, business casual, formal, semi-formal, occasion, yes, he will participate. His religious beliefs, trends in the country. I wouldn't necessarily say in the country, but trends for him, like maybe his personal likes and dislikes. For the trends in the country, suppose he would not know what kind of trends are there or have those kind of clothes where he is before he gets to the foreign country. So I wouldn't really say trends in the country. You get me? Flattery. So his figure type, um, yeah, his religious beliefs. Okay. Comfortability of the clothes. Yes. How comfortable they are. So that would be his personal likes and dislikes. Um. Yes, Joylene. But I think the two main steps would be considering the climate that he's going into, as well as what he will attend. and his personal likes and dislikes. So he would choose those clothes based on that for where he's going. What he will look good in, what will look good on him, sorry, that would be his figure type or what flatters him. Yes, very good. And that takes us basically to the end of that question. I'm going to call it a night now, guys. Um, if you have not yet done so, yes, clear on personal likes and dislikes. Definitely, we said that. If you have not done so, you can check out the other videos on my channel, as well as the tips that I left for you guys when you are doing the exam. Some things that you can look out for. Yes, and let me know how your exam was tomorrow. I will definitely be at school with my girls, so I'm going to see if I can preps the paper just to see what's there, see if it was manageable and stuff like that. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining as well. I really appreciate it. um Yes, CJ, I teach an all girls school. So it's only girls. Um I used to do teaching practice at a co-ed school, so I had some boys, but I prefer the only girls. Um okay, Joylyn, no problem. Sure. When you email me, I'll send you my number. Wow, Joylyn, I don't want to know how old you are if you did it 20 years ago. That sounds about the time that I did it, I think. Yes, Cleon, only girls. All girls school I teach. Thank you, guys. Oh, Lysandra, you're close to me. I teach at St. Hugh's High School. So, yeah. CJ, leave Joelyn alone. Okay, that's interesting, Joelyn. In Jamaica here we have like Heart, and they do like some fashion designing courses which are a little bit step above like CXC and as well as CVQ. So that's like some other level training that we do. So yeah. So that's what we have here. I don't know if they have that there for you guys. That's another. And I went to UTech as well, and I did education. My degree is in education, and I did fashion design, production, and management in Fells. So yeah, and they offer that as family and consumer management or family and consumer studies, something like so, where you do straight foods or straight clothing, or you can do a mix of both. So yeah. Oh, I see. Joylene, I see. Okay. Okay, well, all the best for your exams tomorrow, guys. Don't overthink it. Just pray a little prayer to yourselves when you get into it. Just calm yourselves. Just you got this. Just remember everything that you have done, everything that you remember in class. Try to relate the theory with the practical, what you did in the practical. Try to remember the names of the. I don't know, CJ. I didn't write the paper, so I don't know if it's going to be easy, but I believe in you guys. You got this. No, CJ, you don't need to be nervous. Just pray about it. Drink water before you go in. Have a little mint so you can suck on for a little bit and just calm your nerves. All right. And tell me about it tomorrow. Yeah. Yes. If your school allows you to chew gum, then yes. Yes, yeah, right, Cleon, you got this, guys. So see you again next time, guys, for the next live the day before the paper one, or maybe 2 days before, so you can get the day to sleep. Yeah. And remember to like, subscribe, and share my channel. I'll be having some other stuff, not just C6 stuff, just in case you were wondering. So, yeah. Okay, guys, bye. And enjoy the rest of your night.